Is the San Antonio real estate market headed for disaster? This is one of the hottest real estate markets we've seen in a very long time. So hot, in fact, that people are starting to say that they think it looks like when the real estate market crashed and caused a lot of damage along with it. So stick with me and we're going to talk about the differences, the similarities, and where I think this is going. But I want to hear your predictions. Put in the comments what you think. As of right now, before watching this video, tell me what your thoughts are, and then I'd love to see if they're different after watching this video. Welcome back to some Real Talk with me, Renee Zunker. I'm a licensed real estate agent in San Antonio, New Braunfels, Texas, and I want to look at what I think is important in the market for an average consumer to know. So let's check it out. All over the country, prices have been going up surprisingly since mid 2020. A lot of people thought that was going to be our demise and we were going to see a big market crash, but the opposite actually happened, and we've been in one of the strongest markets we've seen in a long time. So naturally, when people see all of this news about rising home prices and the hot market, bells start going off. People start thinking about 2008, the not so distant past where the market actually did crash. Conditions were very, very different then, but the activity and the hotness of the market and how crazy everything is pretty familiar for a lot of people that went through that time. So I can understand why people would think that maybe we're headed for a crash. So the crash in 2008 actually happened because we had a complete different set of conditions. In 2008, we had way too much supply and not enough demand. There was no one that wanted to buy homes because of what we had all just gone through. It was a terrible time to buy homes. This is a chart of months of supply in houses. This is kind of how we measure our inventory, and that tells us if another home didn't come on the market in the next X amount of time, how long would it take for us to completely sell out of houses? So we measure that in months. And you can see here, this is 2008, right after the crash. Inventory levels, they were higher than they've ever been. And that's because people were getting all these bad loans and they were defaulting on these loans, which then flooded the market with a supply of homes that nobody wanted to buy. That's what led to the market crash that we saw in 2008. Now, fast forward a couple years, and we're looking at 2021. These are our inventory levels of homes for sale in 2020 and 2021. Right now, we're at very low levels of inventory, which means this is our supply. So when you have big demand and very small supply, that's what's making the market go a little bit crazy. In 2008, we had way too much supply and no demand. Fast forward to 2022, we have exactly the opposite problem. The demand is there. There's lots of people that are ready, willing, and able to buy houses. We simply don't have enough houses to sell them. And that's what's driving this really hot market, and it's driving prices up because we have that traditional supply and demand relationship. This is a source from National Association of Realtors, and they're saying that the buyer pool in most of these states are extremely strong versus the sellers. This is weak to very weak in most places. So what this means is that this chart is showing us we have a ton of buyers all over the country, but this chart shows us that we don't have enough sellers to be able to sell all the houses that need to be bought by the buyers. So we just don't have enough houses to sell people. San Antonio was one of the 14 cities in the last decade to see a growth of over 100,000 people. So there's a handful of cities growing at a pretty big, steady pace. San Antonio is definitely one of them. Inventory is still at an all-time low. So here's our months of supply for all of the San Antonio Board of Realtors, Schertz, Cibolo, and New Braunfels. And you can see in 2019, this was a very stable market. 3 to 5 months of inventory was a great place to be. And then Jan of 2020, right when the pandemic kicks off, bam, nobody wants to sell their house anymore. And here we are still sitting at really low inventory. And builders are building, but that takes time. It takes months and months, even years sometimes, to get a development underway because you're talking about buying giant pieces of land and then going through cities and counties to get permits and developing and like all that stuff. And if we look at sales prices have done the inverse. Back in 2019, 260, 230s, 250s for an average median sales price around this area. And it has just gone up. So how will rising interest rates affect this super hot market? So buyers have been really in a good position lately as far as interest rates. But what's happening now is interest rates you can see right here, they're starting to tick back up. This is where it was super low, 2.79%. That is really, really phenomenal interest rate. It just goes to show you that the interest rates going up is not like all of a sudden some telltale sign that the market's going to crash. It's not impending doom. It could actually help people a little bit, only in the sense that it could slow the market down a little bit. I don't think you'll see a astronomical change. I don't think that we're all of a sudden going to start seeing homes sitting on the market for months and months. I bet in the next 6 months or so, we will go from seeing 8 offers on a property to 2 or 3. Historically, interest rates have been a lot higher. That's why people were freaking out that they were so low at 2 point something. So them going back up, not going to affect anything too much, I don't think. What it will affect is that buyers, instead of shopping at a $500,000 home, maybe they're shopping at a $400,000 home. This is a tool I love to use. So this is Carl's mortgage calculator. Always consult a mortgage professional when looking at numbers within mortgage calculators, because there's a lot of things that go into these, so the numbers can fluctuate depending on making sure that you input all the information correctly. But let's take a quick look at this. So this is an example. We are going to be looking right here. So this is $300,000. If you put in about a 5% down payment down, you don't have to put 20% down. You can do a 5% down payment. So your loan then is $285. If you had a 3% interest rate for a 30-year loan, your payment is going to be about that. Now, that has a lot of fluctuating factors. Remember, don't take this as gospel. That's about your total. All we want to do now here, as I adjust this from 3 to 5, ouch, your payment goes way up. Same price house. The only thing that changed was that interest rate went from 3% to 5%, and it changes the monthly payment. I don't think this is going to stop people from buying. I think that it will shift their strategy in buying, but I don't think this will stop people from buying altogether. Even with the interest rates climbing, the demand is still there and the supply is still not. While we don't think that interest rates are going to slow the market a whole lot, it may cool the market off just a little bit to help us get back to being a little more stable while the supply catches up with the demand. How did your thought on the market evolve as watching this video? I'd love to know your thoughts. And of course, if you need any assistance from a real estate professional in the San Antonio, New Braunfels, Schertz, Cibolo, any areas around San Antonio, give your girl a call. All of my links are in the box below, so check out those links. They'll take you everywhere you need to go. Follow me, hit the little subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.